All right, everybody, is everybody ready?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Technician, on your cue. All right, everybody, thank you all for coming in. The City of Cotulla City Council will meet for a regular meeting on Thursday, April 13, 2023, at 7 p.m. at the Alexander Convention Center, Conference Room 290 North, IH 35, Access Road, Cotulla, Texas. This is open meeting, subject to open meeting laws of the state of Texas. Roll call. Is everybody present? Looks like everybody's present today, so thank you all for being here, Councilman.
You still need to say the names just so that she can record them as here.
Okay, so Mr. Ayala is here, Mr. Lopez, Mr. Certuche, Mr. Garcia, Mr. Rodriguez. All five councilmen are here today. Thank you all for being here. Will everybody please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Citizens to be heard. City Council cannot discuss any present issue nor may any action be taken on any given issue at this time. Citizens to be heard, we have three people here in the audience. The first one is Judge Leodoro Martinez Jr.
The third.
Or the third.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming in, sir. Thank you.
Mayor, Councilman, thank you all for allowing me this brief time real quick. And it's just very, very short, like I talked to you all today. I just do want to do a formal invite from my office, the county judge's seat, to the councilman and mayor and Mr. Dovalina to join me on, when is this? On April 18th, 2023 at the Austin Capitol. Senator Safarina has given us appropriate as LaSalle County Day. And I'd like to, for y'all to join us along so our citizens can see our unity that's coming on together. And I just want to welcome everybody so y'all can attend.
Judge, did you bring one of those invitations?
I did. I brought one.
So you can show it to the council. That way they have time to pass it around. And then whoever would like to go, we just notify Georgia. Is that correct? We'll notify Georgia, whoever wants to go.
Thank y'all.
Judge, thank you very much for the invite. Second one is Leonarda Hassel. Ms. Hassel? Thank you for being here, Ms. Hassel.
You're very welcome. I'm just here I was raised here in Cotulla. My parents were raised here in Cotulla. And in the past, my parents taught us to have some, concerns about our town, the way it looks, the way we should keep it. And through all my years that I've been born, I just see Cotulla going down. Yes, we have a lot of motels. Yes, we have one shopping store, But as far as our neighborhoods, they're going down, especially on my side of town. And that hurts me because our parents worked very hard to maintain our city, to have what we have now. My taxes are up here, but I wouldn't buy my property the way it looks around my property. And I know I made several calls. Promises have been made. Yes, we're going to tell them to clean. Yes, we're going to do this. But so far, it's like, okay, they moved 2-3 cars, and then they're back on the street. My husband had an emergency. The fire truck and the ambulance couldn't turn the way they wanted to go. They had to reverse because they couldn't fit on Thomas Street. And my husband's life depended on it because they needed to get him to the airport. Now, I understand, but when you have a lot of property behind your houses, but they're full of junk. I mean, they look like junk yards from San Antonio that are in an approved area for junk. And yes, maybe people don't have the means to clean their yard. So I think the city should make a point and say, hey, once a month, we need to go through the neighborhoods and if they put something out there, pick it up. A lot of people don't have a way to go to the plaza and trucks because they get charged. A lot of these people are just in check by check. So they can't pay, somebody $20, $40 per load. They can't afford it. They can barely pay, their utilities, especially the elderly. So I think something has to be done because yes, we have hired people to maintain our codes. It's a health hazard. Last night, I found a snake. Well, I didn't. My son did in my garage. But yet, because right behind my house, there's a house that's nobody lives there, and every year we find snakes crawling from under there. I have kids my grandkids can go into the garage. They can be bitten by a snake. And like I say, I understand some of these lots are, but yet, on my property that belongs to my mom, they say, okay, you pay us $300 and we'll clean. Not too many people have $300 to dish out for you to go clean. And that's my concern. Because the first thing is, I think about our parents, all our parents. We were raised here and we weren't raised to be like that. But it seems like that's been forgotten. It doesn't take much to clean. Our streets are not swept. Our streets are not trimmed like some others are. But that's where our parents left us. And if we as a city and city council and the city offices don't care, I'm sorry, but I'm not for that. And I don't like to be like, I'm not picking on anybody, but I think that we need to start looking for our people and helping our people. Now, I don't know how other towns do it, but I see where they throw, furniture that they don't need, they put it on the side, it is picked up. What does it take here? Because like I say, a lot of people don't have, pay $20, $40 a load for someone to take their trash to the park, to the plaza, so you can dispose of it. That's my concern, because the majority of our people don't, and it seems that our side of town has been forgotten. There's lots that have junk. We say, oh, we're not gonna allow these, we're not gonna allow RVs, but yet they're full of RVs that are not even occupied. A couple of years ago, they denied my granddaughter of having a trailer because it was below the age. And I even offered, go and look at her trailer. It's beautiful. The previous owner redid it and it was refused. I said, okay, there's a lot of houses here that they're not up to electrical code. And what happened years after? A trailer got burned. Thanks to the little girl, she woke up and saved her family. But we knew you could pass by there, you could see wires going from their trailer to a house. And we're just very lucky that that family did not lose their lives. So here we are, we want to have committees, and all this. But what are the committees for? Just to say I'm in a committee? But nothing is done after that? We've hired, code people, we hire people to go around the streets. For what? To me, they're just wasting gas because I've had leaks in front of my house, and if I don't call it in, it's not fixed. Although they pass by there. My thing is, okay, I pass by there, I don't belong to the water department, but I'll call in because we're wasting that water. You know, that's my concern. And I appreciate for hearing me, but that's the way I feel.
Ms. Hassel, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Next up is Jeronima Garza.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. I prepared my statement because I was afraid that I'd get emotional, and I thought, well, I better write it all down so that I don't get off topic and vent. So I have prepared my statement, and I appreciate your attention and you being able to voice it. I will start with a quote by Matthew Arnold, a poet. "The enemy of truth is blind acceptance." When I learned about the Maltzberger statue, I was disappointed. However, I understand the reasoning behind it, which is that the plaza was named for her. But as often happens in history, we know only what others have written. We have yet to write our own history. To accept without question is to give away our place, our stories, and our accomplishments. It is our responsibility to dig deeper, to uncover our underrepresented history, to celebrate the diversity and cultural impact unique to us. Mexican American history, folks, is American history. We in the 70s asked for Mexican American studies and were denied. So if you don't know our history, that is why. In building a statue for Maltzberger, we neglect our core, the place and work of our ancestors. We have neglected to ask, who maintained the plaza? Who funded the works used in space and cooperation and celebrated our identity? We have failed to ask, why was the plaza originally called the Mexican Plaza and then named for Maltzberger? Who nominated Maltzberger and why? When the decision to build the statue was made, was that decision made or based on one magazine article, one memory, or extensive research? Initial efforts to improve the Mexican American Historical District is commendable, but we have the responsibility to tell the truth. Ugly or not, it is history. Only the truth will heal our divisions. Now I'm going to tell you what's really upsetting me. The other night I got a phone call where I was informed that there are plans in place to move Doña Maria's school to Front Street. Front Street? Where the Texas Rangers post with their guns? The weapons used against our families? A Mexican school in the same place on Front Street ignores the fact they lived opposing path. To place Doña Maria School on the side that refused her teaching credentials is right down insulting. There are plenty of stories of Doña Maria Romo in this community that we haven't even been collecting. We haven't documented them. We have not investigated fully whether the building in the city dump is her school or not. Was the school demolished? If so, by whom? When? If it was demolished, wouldn't it make sense to do a property title search and learn who owned it? Who demolished it? Was it the city? Was it the new owners? Wouldn't it also make sense to seek out the owners or their descendants and ask if they know the story of what happened? Has a survey with the community been conducted? Have her students been asked how they feel about putting her school in Front Street? To focus our history on the few blocks of Front Street further underrepresents our already underrepresented history. It ignores our identity and creates further inequality and exclusion. The Maltzberger statue and moving Doña Maria School ignores those who have fought to improve our community. Here's a list of some people that worked on the plaza. La Asociación de la Plaza de Mexicanos, before it was named Florita. Wellhausen PTA members and students who hosted fundraisers for the betterment of the plaza so that children wouldn't have to play on bare dirt. It ignores, and this one really gets to me, the contributions of Leandra Vela Lopez, PTA president, and Esther Briones Mendez, vice president, significant players in the creation of the kiosk and the fountain. Doña Maria's young students who sang and danced and performed for plaza fundraisers to raise communities, who's remembering them? I also want to remind you that we had the Woodmen of the World, the Latino Social Club, who built places for continuance of community when the plaza was unsuitable for the weather. We had the League of the United Latin American Citizens. And you had us, the civil rights movement, who worked so hard to end segregation in the late 1970s. Front Street prospered due to the depot. Who owned the depot? Joseph Cotulla. And who worked at the depot? The multitude of us, our ancestors, who picked the fields, who herded the cattle, who performed the hard labor. Do not, please do not move her school to Front Street. In conclusion, I believe justice begins where inequality ends. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Gatsa. That was good. Moving on to departmental and committee reports. Code compliance.
Good evening, City Councilman, Mayor, Mr. Dovalina. In my report for this month, in the first warning letters, I have 5 properties that were issued first warnings from anything from trash and rubbish to weed and brush. In the second tier, you'll see the second warning letters of notices to the following properties that still hadn't responded to the initial first warning. Those are 5 properties there. Again, I had a nuisance declared on vehicles and with weed and brush. And the rest are pretty much the weed and brush issues, trash and rubbish. Properties that are in compliance and working on, you'll see 5 there. And with one of the bottom one, number 5, you'll see that it's a nuisance vehicle that was a RV trailer that was parked on the easement, that was removed. And the number 2 was the issue of public health regarding sewage. That is no longer issue. The sewage is no longer spewing or spilling onto the ground. But it'll be monitored in case any activity starts up within the properties again. And in the back of that report, you'll find vehicles removed on Market Street at a RV park. There were 4 vehicles that were removed by the property owner or the owner of those vehicles, Mr. Perales. There are no current street lights reported for repair or lights out. And then currently we have a demolish or pending demolishes at those following locations on Matamoros, East Stewart behind the Baptist Church, and one on Live Oak. And we currently have a demolish in progress at 1302 Live Oak and is pending completion with a delay due to some weather and adjustments due street department's operations. And that's all I have.
I have a couple of questions for you, Mr. Garcia.
Yes, sir.
First, to start off with, a couple of months ago in the previous meeting, I did mention if you started doing your night inspection,
My what, sir?
night inspections on the lights on the poles.
Well, and you say night inspections, what I did was I come out at 4 in the mornings. That's when the previous reports on my other reports were.
Okay.
Instead of coming out at 12 or 1, I just come in at 4 o'clock in the morning, and going into the early morning hours.
How often do you do that?
Well, I just did those the last report, prior to the last report.
Okay. And have you found any so far?
Other than the ones I previously reported last month?
No.
No. And I haven't done anything for this month, no.
I would like you to check the one that I mentioned to you a couple of months ago, as I believe is Gerard and 2nd Street.
Okay, all those, as you remember, I reported, and they were in my report.
Correct.
So I have not received a notification from AEP whether they've already been approved or that they've already been put in place.
But
Normally I get an email from AEP, and I haven't received anything yet.
Can you do a follow-up on that, please?
I can follow up, but
Yeah, that's all I'm asking. Do follow-ups on that, please.
yeah, it's not a problem, because, of course, the same technicians here are the ones servicing the surrounding counties as well, so
Correct.
they got to, and also they got to work with the work orders. If they do accept the locations, they still got to order the material and the lights
Correct.
for those lights.
Going back to your report, I know that you got second warnings, first warnings, and has it gone to the stage that you have to give citations so far?
No.
Well, are you certified to give citations or not?
I can give citations, as far as I can mail the citation, but most times I end up working with the property owners, and things end up getting taken care of. So where I don't necessarily end up having to issue the citations. If it has to be done, then I can issue the citation, of course.
How often do you go do your next follow-up after you do your second inspection?
If I get 2 return letters, then I'm either looking at following up on, see if there's any other changes in the properties as far as address changes and things like that, which sometimes happens. And I usually try and do that diligently even before I start. So
the reason I'm bringing this up because to answer some of the complaints that we had, as you heard
Right,
a little while
right.
ago, is to alleviate that problem to arise, at least communicate with the people that are calling and on their concerns that they have. Try to communicate with them. I know you probably do, but try to respond to them on the status on the issue that they complain to us.
Well, in regards to the initial complaint, similar to what Ms. Hassel was here for, mentioning, street department went in, vehicles were removed, things were cleaned off, vehicles were removed from along the edge of the right-of-ways, along the curb lines. And then if there's an issue where I even talked to the person that's in charge or the person who has control over the vehicles, which I have, and I told them expect what was the issue was going on there and what could happen. And therefore, unless it's, and like I said, I don't go back out every day or every week out there, but unless he reverted back to vehicles again parked on those easements again, then I'd like to follow up and go ahead and go out there and have a visit with him again.
Is there a possibility that you can start tagging vehicles with those orange tags
Yes, sir.
and just date it on your records and things like that when you do it and do a follow-up on that?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that, sir. No more questions.
Councilman, any other questions for Mr. Garcia, code compliance? If not, Mr. Garcia, thank you very much for that report.
All right. Thank you.
Next up is water and wastewater. Mr. Jimmy?
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Mr. Dolina. On the water, our water level right now is sitting at 511. It's a 4-foot loss from last month. Our water demand is up at 6 million gallons. We're at, for this month, we had 36,221,000 million gallons with a daily demand of 1.16 million gallons. Also, our Carrizo, the courthouse well, we noticed it had a loss of water production, so we ended up having to pull the well out. Found out that the pump is no good, and due to the cost of the pump, we're looking at installing a clay valve to utilize the infrastructure there. So right now we're down to 3 wells. So far, the 3 wells that we have been able to maintain the production. We've also started replacing water meters that have zero consumption, and we get those readings every month. Once the meter reader's done, when we notice that there's zero consumptions, we change out those water meters. And also on the flood mapping project, FEMA has approved the flood map, and we're just waiting on the maps from CDM Smith. And that's all I have right now on the water.
I have a question on that one. Maybe David can answer this because I think I mentioned to you in a meeting that I had with you. On those meters, 3 meters that was on that property, can you give me a status on that?
I went out there personally. 2 of the meters are locked and one has an active account for a single house that's on the property. We gained access through Matamoros Street. Gate was unlocked. We entered, no issues.
Well, will the owner give you access for the future in order to read those meters, or are you gonna remove them?
So generally what will happen if the meter reader can't get access, the meter reader should call the supervisor, and the supervisor will contact the property owner and have it open. If they refuse to give us access, we estimate the bill.
Okay.
So,
Appreciate it.
yes, sir.
No more questions.
It has been a policy for some time, as we move on, we have been moving meters off of private property to city easements.
Okay.
And this is one of them that before, less than a year ago, there was no fence, there was no lock, we had access to it, no problem, and there was a defined road. The gentleman put the fence up, it's his property, he owns it, so at this point, we're gonna move the meters outside of his fence over city property.
So will that still give access water to that house that is back there?
Yes, he'll still be able to have his service.
Thank you.
On the wastewater, I'm mainly the sewer line project. The contractors have already installed roughly around 2,100 feet of pipes and manholes. Right now, they just need one little section next to the TDCJ. There's a fence that we're not allowed to move, so they're working on installing that. I think it's about 200 feet of pipe there, and then waiting on the URL from TxDOT to begin on Highway 97, and then there it's going to be the pipe bore across and then connect to the airport.
On that location, there will be a lift station in that area?
No, sir, it's all gravity fed.
Oh, gravity flow? Okay, thank you. My last question on that, on your sewer plant. How's it doing along with the painting and all that? Have you done any?
Yes, we have the paint. We're gonna start painting the buildings outside tomorrow. We're gonna paint there and at the Carrizo well as well. They started inside the office. We're gonna hit the outside tomorrow and the Carrizo well as well.
Thank you. No more questions.
No.
Councilman, any other questions for Jimmy?
I had a question. On the, going back to the floodplain mapping, I've had some citizens approach me how do they go about getting the information to present that to their insurance if they are paying for flood insurance in those zones?
They would be able to go to City Hall and get a map showing where their property is, so they can turn that into the insurance.
Yeah, it'll be the new and revised map.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a revised one coming out. Currently, in the lobby at City Hall, next to where you pay your bill on the right side, there is a proposed map that's there showing what we proposed to FEMA. What we proposed to FEMA was approved, so the map is valid. They could take a picture of it and show the evidence.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sure there's gonna be a letter that will go out also.
And could that map be put on the website?
It could, yeah, it could.
Okay.
Once it's approved.
Once it's approved, yeah, correct. I appreciate that.
Jimmy, what is the status on the sewer plant? Do we have any problems?
So far, right now, I mean, we're doing pretty good there at the sewer plant. There are we're waiting on the sewer line project to finish so we can go ahead and see what improvements we can make there at the sewer plant.
Are you still having a lot of problems with those lightings?
Haven't seen much right now. It's kind of settled down. So, I mean, we do get trash in there, but it's not as bad as it was.
Okay.
Any other questions, Councilman?
No, sir.
Mr. Jimmy, thank you very much for that report. I need gas.
All right. I'm going to be doing the gas report as well.
Excellent.
For the month of March, there were no gas leaks. The Housing Authority valve replacement, the City of Cotulla has been replacing old style 2 valves set up on gas risers there at the Housing Authorities with the valve system on the maintenance and future repairs easier. So far, as of March, the 28 out of the 60 have been replaced. Also, on the Railroad Commission, the City of Cotulla completed its CID form and annual report to the Railroad Commission in March. The market price for February was $4.22. As you know, in January it was $6.08. It's down $1.86. And March's price won't be until about next week. And that's all I have.
I have one question on Southwest Lane. I know they're doing some road work right now, and they're planning to do some drainage problems, improvements there. I believe I saw 4 boxes there. Are they gonna be working on the site where the gas line is? Because I remember a while back there was a minor leak there. I was just wondering.
I'd have to find out. I'm not sure where that drainage is gonna go.
Okay, I appreciate it.
All right, no problem.
Thank you, Mr. Jimmy. Next department is Streets and Parks.
Good evening, Mayor, Mr. Dovalina, City Council members. Our street personnel demolishing structure at 1302 Live Oak, and the customer paid the demo fee. We also utilized the walk-behind saw to cut a square of pavement on Corporal Garcia and Butwell Street due to a water leak repaired by the water department and refilled with cold mix asphalt. We also utilized the skidster Bobcat to remove grass and debris from neighborhood street curbs around the city. And also, as for the Parks and Recreation Department, the crew have been busy at the Martinez Park repairing benches, tables, and painting the gazebo. They have also been at the Civic Center, or assisting the Civic Center, removing grass from flower beds. Am I talking too loud? All right, let me say, as far as the Parks and Recreation Department, the crew have been busy at the Martinez Park repairing benches and tables and painting the gazebo. They have also been assisting the Civic Center in removing grass from flower beds. And that's my report. Any questions?
I was going to ask you if Ms. Hassel made a good point about citizens that can't afford to clean up your yards and all that. See if we can come up with a solution that, once a month, people that are elderly and they can't afford, if we can go in there and allow us,
I know my
Saturday.
crew has been going through neighborhoods, also the county. I
Yes.
gotta give credit to the county.
We've been in the past, Councilman Ayala. I get a few phone calls, and whoever calls me, usually it's when a storm comes in, trees fall in their yards, and there's a lot of elderly out there that they don't have nobody. So Robbie's been very helpful with that. Of course, I make it known that the residence owner has to be there, whether it's a lady or a young man and a lady that are there, which are relatives. Somebody has to be there just to make sure that they see that when we leave, we didn't damage anything. They can't say, hey, the city was here and, they damaged this. And we have been in the past, but I do think that we need to set something up like Mr. Ayala said, maybe for furniture, unwanted furniture, old furniture, mattresses, etc. And even dryers and washers and refrigerators, because I know there's a lot out there also. So even though we just recently, I don't know, for the record, for those of you that don't know, we just did one for brush. Did we get that done, or we got that done, right?
Yeah,
Once a
we
month?
got that done.
And all you do with a brush is just take it to the curb, and whenever the trash people see it, they'll notify Robbie, and then Robbie will make arrangements to pick it up. We can probably do the same if they see any old furniture or anything, of that sort of contents.
I will confer with Mel and let him know that the drivers of the garbage trucks, if they could see some, like debris like that in the alleyways, they can let us know and we'll go pick it up.
Excellent. You can go ahead. Did you finish your report?
Yes, sir.
Councilman, any further questions for Mr. Thomas?
I have maybe one or two. I would like for you to see if you can check on your vehicles, because today I saw one of your trailers, 16-foot trailer, that one of the lights was out towards the side of where the license plate is. Just to have your employees check your equipment.
Okay.
I know, because they also haul trash and
Sure,
limbs
yeah.
and things like that. And it's basically it. Check before they drive out.
We'll do it
Yeah.
this morning.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilman, any other questions?
Thank you.
Mr. Thomas, thank you very much for that report. Was that the streets and parks also? Was that both?
Street and parks, yes.
Okay, thank you. Next up is sanitation.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilman, Mr. Dovalina. The March 2023 monthly report for the City of Cotulla Solid Waste and Transfer Station. We had a total of 41 trips done. 39 of them were to the landfill, 2 were for the metal. 25 compactors for 307.69 tons. 6 40-yard containers from the transfer station for 27.51. The wall hog accumulated 8.07 tons for that weekend of trash. Also, on March the 4th, 2023, we had a city cleanup, and we accumulated 54,420 pounds of containing construction, lumber, furniture, and so forth. And scrap metal, we had 2 containers for a total of 15,660 pounds. And we also collected about 200 scrap tires on that day. And I believe me and Mr. Thomas were talking. I think we might have a cleanup sometime in May, date to be announced at a later time. Any other questions? Or
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
I went to the landfill last week on a Saturday, and I noticed that the landfill has had a lot of tires. Is there any way that we can bring a 18-wheeler or something, start carrying tires that are being accumulated there?
You mean at the brush collection?
Correct.
That will be Mr. Thomas.
And also for the cleanup, also can we get something?
How many tires do you have accumulated?
Mr. Thomas?
What is a lot?
I have a lot. I have
Number.
I've spoken to David earlier. He said to hold up on UTW, so I did.
So a truck carries 500 or 600 tires?
About there.
Do you have that now?
I have about that. Yes, sir. It'll be probably 2 trailers.
Order a truck?
Appreciate it.
Mr. Thomas, how often do we send for trucks to for them to haul off the tires?
I try to do it when the cleanup is done. That way I don't have a lot of accumulation there.
Excellent.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Councilman, any other questions for Mr. Martinez?
No, sir.
If not, Mr. Martinez, thank you very much for that report. Moving on to animal control.
Good evening, council members, Mr. Dolina, Mayor. For the month of March, I had a total of 1 work order, 0 dogs were adopted, 6 of them were rescued. I had 2 returned to the owners, a total of 4 animals picked up off the street that were dead, 3 total that were euthanized, and 9 dogs total that were picked up off the street, strays or surrendered, and a total of 3 animals that were caught in traps. Kennels are cleaned and sanitized daily, and dogs are fed daily. And that concludes my report.
Councilman,
Do we still have that organization that comes and adopts those?
Yeah,
dogs
I've
and
reached out
cats?
to multiple ones, but at the same time, they're all kind of like booked with trying to get dogs out from other areas as well.
But they're still adopting?
Yeah, they're still.
taking them.
Yes, sir.
I had another question.
Yes, sir.
Kind of on the process, I was approached by a citizen who had concerns in several areas in town with being overrun by dogs and cats.
Yeah.
If you could just walk me through the process of what, on a daily, do you make rounds around town, or are these dogs that are being picked up, are these being called in? Or?
Oh, most of the time, they're called in, like it's like surrendered. But strays usually, if I see that they don't have, I guess, permanent homes and just around the area, if I have traps available, I'll set one there and then check on it throughout the day.
So at the current moment, you don't make rounds in town, or you just?
Oh, I do. Is it's more trying to get to, where it's at and then go back to it, going throughout the whole city.
So would you say, is it a manpower issue? Like, would you need another employee with you? Or?
I wouldn't say I would need one, need an assistant or anything like that, but, whatever help is help.
If I'm not correct, you also assist on the dump truck, am I correct?
Yes, it's whenever.
So does it take part of your mornings also in that area?
Yeah, pretty much. So like, whenever I guess when we finish a route.
So basically, you may have 4 to 5 hours just doing that duty.
Yes.
And you work an 8-hour shift, or?
I'm sorry?
You work an 8-hour shift?
Yes.
So you'd say it burns up about half of your shift before you get started on the actual animal control?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we may need probably the maintenance department to assist if they do see dead animals, to remove him and assist him. In my opinion, if they're driving throughout town.
He works with Robbie, but he has a considerable amount of downtime.
Correct.
When he's doing something else, but if he needs extra help, the street department guys help him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually if I need help, I'll give Robbie a call.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
No, sir.
Any other questions, Councilman?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. David. Moving on to Main Street.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Mr. Lovelina, Mr. Wright. In your packet, you can find my April monthly report. As I stated in the last meeting, Main Street does function off of a four-point approach with transformation strategies. That's kind of how I have to report for my Texas Main Street reports. So that's how your report is structured. As far as economic vitality, the inventory still stands as we went ahead and did an inventory, and our public investments were the Stockman's Bank building, and the private investments would be the new Black Brush Trading Company, which is the old Benz. And then we did have a grand opening for 888 the same day as the Cafecito with the Chamber, so that's the barber shop. As far as design, we still have the Main Street, Cotulla Main Street Facade Improvement Grant Program. As of right now, nobody's applied, but we are pushing that out and trying to get owners to get the packets, and we're actually putting it on the newspaper. It's gone on the newsletter that goes out every 2 weeks. And then on there you can find the eligible improvements that they can do through the facade improvement grant. And then as far as promotion, like I said, the newsletter gets sent out every 2 weeks. It includes Main Street's upcoming events or any news that we have, city news and upcoming events as far as like the charter, being able to put that, and then that it'll be held on May 6th. New businesses, and then we also put on there if we have any available properties and any business resources that Main Street sends me, I can go ahead and send it out through there. I want to remind y'all that people can sign up for the newsletter. The way that they sign up is through the Main Street website. They put in their information and it automatically goes to our program, and we're able to get it automatically. And then we did have a Cotulla Main Street Easter window decoration contest, the same thing that we had for Christmas. The winners for Judge's Choice were the LaSalle County Sheriff's Office at the courthouse, and then People's Choice was Napa Auto Parts. As far as the organization, the Cotulla Main Street Advisory Board held their first official meeting today. It was held at 3 p.m. at Cotulla City Hall, and that was through the meeting they were able to nominate and approve and vote on a chairperson, a vice chairperson, and a secretary. So we do have a working board. The 4th of July subcommittee that was also put together has been formed and will hold their first meeting on Monday, April 17th at 2 p.m. at City Hall also. And then also, as y'all know, that Cafecito with the Chamber was held at City Hall. It was a great success, and we had about 50 to 60 people that were in attendance, so we thank everybody that showed up. And then I also have 2 outstanding public information requests at the moment. As far as your packet, you can also find Cotulla Main Street, because we do have an advisory board. We are a 501c3, so we do have a bank account. And I did receive a directive from Mr. Davalina that came from Councilman Sertuche for the bank statements for our 501c3, so I just went ahead and attached it for y'all's reference.
Got a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
Is this the first meeting that you had with the Main Street Board?
Yes.
And how often do you have it? Like last year, did you have any?
I didn't have any because it wasn't a working board, and then I became the Main Street coordinator, and then we went ahead and sent letters to the current members, and we gave them a chance to be able to respond to us if they were going to be able to, if they wanted to stay on the board. And then we actually looked and facilitated for people, and people actually sent in applications to be a part of the board, and then this is our first meeting. And then as far as when the meetings are held, was your question?
My next question is for future meetings for Main Street. Will that be put on the website for any
Yes.
public that would like to attend?
Yes, it was posted on the billboard at City Hall 72 hours in advance because we do function on the Open Meetings Act, but it can be posted on the website and on the social media. And we do meet, as far as the bylaws, according to our bylaws, we meet every second Tuesday of every month, and they did vote today. It was supposed to be at 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., but the board actually voted to change it to 6:15 every second Monday of the month.
I was looking over your bank statement that you gave me, and I was noticing, because I don't see it on this, and maybe it's on, because this is for the month of February. Maybe it's
Yeah,
on
I
the-
was given a directive to give you February, the last 2 months, February and March.
Okay, I didn't get March. I just only got February. I was just wondering, when did you get the donation from the county?
I received it yesterday. I
Yes,
deposited
yesterday?
yesterday.
Okay.
And then the board actually voted to, and accepted the donation to be able to be deposited
Okay.
through the advisory board.
If you don't mind, for the future, if you can give me the statements when you pay out for every month in the meeting.
Okay.
And also, if you don't mind, because I pick up my package on Tuesday, if you can have that on Tuesday instead of like a day of the meeting, because it doesn't give me time to revise it and to ask you questions, if you can do me that favor.
Awesome.
I appreciate that.
Any other questions or concerns for
I
me?
just had a question about the newsletter. You say it gets sent out every 2 weeks. Is this being sent via mail or
It can,
email?
it's email. And like I said, you can sign up on the website. If you go to the Cotulla Main Street website, because it's a separate program. So if you just go in, you put your name, email address, and we can send it directly. You have to go to the website to sign up.
Okay. So if the citizens aren't computer savvy and aren't familiar with the website, how do they gain access to this newsletter?
That's the way we have it right now. Do y'all want us to
Like
mail it
a
out, or do
posting
y'all
or
have any
something.
other ideas of?
Posting in the front of the city hall.
We can post on the billboard also. We
Yeah, I
have.
think that'd be a good idea.
Okay,
I
we
mean,
can do
'cause there are
that.
citizens who aren't familiar with
Yep.
a computer and using the internet and all that, so.
But if y'all have any other ideas of ways to get the information out there, we'll feel free to send them over.
Can you work together with the chamber and post it on the LED sign downtown,
For
the Main Street,
for them to sign up for the
Yes.
newsletter, we can go
Yes.
ahead and reach out to them and see if they can do that for us.
Councilman, any other questions for Ms. Carino?
No, sir.
Ms. Carino, thank you very much for that report. Moving on to the next item is accounting. Mr. Garcia, welcome.
Good evening, Councilman, Mayor, Mr. Dovalina, and Mr. Wright. Are y'all ready? On the first report, it's the sales tax report, and for the month of April, we've collected $173,100. And so in total, it's been $1,329,715, and that's a 38% higher from last year's total. And then on the next report is the hotel motel collections report, on the very next page. And then for the month of March, we've received $14,644. Second quarter total is $279,441, and total throughout both quarters is $649,475. If we can change or flip to page 5 for the general fund total. For the general fund, the total revenue is $1,596,447. Total expenditures are $1,663,374 for a net loss of $66,927, and that's for the general fund. On page 8 is the water sewer fund total.
I have a question before we go any further. On page 5, right in the center where it says 1219 6274 uniforms. Do all employees have uniforms, sir? That you know?
They should.
They should?
Yeah, once they get in training, some departments wait 3 months for them to make sure we're going to probation period and they
Okay. And is it all employees and also supervisors use uniforms or just employees?
No, I think,
Right now, it's just employees, and some of them only get shirts, and they wear their own pants, some of them get their pants and
Okay.
shirts. We do have some supervisors that have requested them, but not all.
But it's available for them if they, in case you want. Okay. Appreciate it. You can go on, sir.
Yes, sir. On page 8 is the water and sewer fund total. The total revenue for the water and sewer fund is $1,260,875. Total expenditures are $845,275. And a total net income of $415,600. On page 10 is the gas fund total. All right, the gas fund total revenue is $219,099. Total expenditures are $127,349, netting $91,749.
It's been better for the past month, right?
Yes, sir.
the last month, the cost of gas was the lowest it's been all year.
Right.
I have a question, and maybe the maintenance department, maybe David can answer this, because I see it on the budget here. Do we do the oil changes and maintenance on our equipment?
In city ordinance, the department head is required to maintain the vehicles and equipment for their department. So each department is responsible to do it. Water, wastewater department, we would not go off of miles of vehicle, we would go by months. And every 3 months, we would do an oil change of all vehicles. And we would have a staff member do it.
Okay.
As far as the heavy equipment, we would call in a certified mechanic and take care of that part.
Okay.
Same thing with generators and.
But the tires and all that, y'all do hire.
Yes, as needed, we'll bring in Southern Tire Mart or somebody to go ahead and install.
All right. Appreciate that. Thank you.
On page 12 is the solid waste fund total. The total revenue for the solid waste fund is $416,735. Total expenditures are $531,111, and that's a net loss of $114,376. And then that's the end of for the statement of revenue and expenditures. And the last report that's attached is the check register, and y'all can go over that, whenever y'all like to. But that concludes my report. Is there any questions?
I have one question. Will you be using Jorge from now on to come do your reports, or will you be able to do it by yourself?
No, I do it by myself. It's just, like I said, this is my third time, putting it together, so sometimes I do need some help. But I mean, for the most part, I do it for myself. Okay. But I don't want to release, information that's not, accurate.
Yeah, maybe Jorge can fill in a little bit.
He's ready.
He's ready
to do the report.
Okay. That's why I want to know, because I don't know what is your contract with the city, if it's more duration.
I do not have a contract. I'm day-to-day.
Day-to-day?
Yeah.
Okay. Only he requested if he needs you or anything like that.
Correct.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions, Councilman, for Mr. Garcia?
Thank you.
Mr. Garcia, thank you very much for that report. Moving on to item number 6, approval of minutes, March 16, 2023. Ms. City Secretary, was there any changes made to the minutes?
I did speak to George a little while ago, before the meeting started, that I did mention for the past 2 months meetings that the city administrator needs to be added back to the agenda for comments, and also I need for the building maintenance supervisor to be added also.
You mean on departmental reports?
That is correct.
Well, before we move on, David, is there anything that you would like to say as far as the administrator or Mr. Dovalina? Anything you'd like to say?
You mentioned it was my last supper, so I guess.
He did it. He said it.
George just said it.
No.
I think I came here when I was 61. I'm now 76. I served, and I'm proud to have served. And I served under this council, under this mayor, under a former mayor and former councilman. And I thank you for the support that you have shown me in the past. I can't see how you can be a member of some team or some community and not feel like it's your home. And in fact, if you listen to me when I talk sometimes, I mistakenly refer to my apartment as my home. And that, I think, shows the feelings and the affinity that I have for this city. I'm very proud of the fact that I was willing to work all these years and do the things that we were able to accomplish. And I think there's many projects on the ground that you're going to continue to see that are going to provide sustainability to the city because of what we've done. And I think you're going to continue to reap the benefit of being on 35. You now have Alamo Lumber coming in, you have Southern Tire Mart coming in, you have the new Loves coming in. There is currently a foreign trade legislation that is going to be presented at the Texas legislature, and I think that'll catapult your airport facility into a major trade facility, and you're going to reap the benefits of your neighbors who are bursting at the seams, but you're north of that, and so the truck traffic and the things that are happening with the railroad are continuing or will continue to allow you to expand in the future. And so the future of the city of Cotulla has a great possibility. I think you're going to get hit faster than the Pearsalts and Dillies of the world because you're much closer to the source. And the continued expansion of the highway, there's now another 2 lanes that are being added from IH-35 between Laredo and Encinal to take care of the traffic. And I know that there's some locations that are being bought by major highway retailers that I'm not at liberty to say, but I think it's going to impact the whole corridor between Cotulla and Laredo. There's a development of 3,000 acres that is going to be warehousing and homes at mile marker 22. And you say, well, what difference does it make? It means that you're going to get hit sooner with the traffic that generates out of Laredo. You have a major corridor that's going to go on 83, where the Tourist Bureau is in Laredo, and they're going to make a wing that goes over the top. There is a company called Magic Realty that is a company out of Long Beach, California, and it bought 2,000 acres. They bought the old Uniroyal test track. And they're trying to buy some additional land that the city of Laredo has immediately behind it. That's another 1,500 acres that we were able to purchase many years ago. But what it means, and the reason that these people are positioning themselves, there is another railroad bridge being built at Laredo. So you now have approximately 35 trains that cross every day. So you can imagine that that is going to double the capacity. So it's going to double the amount of trains that go through here. And it also generates much more truck traffic. Years that's been expanding, and the opportunity is for the city to leverage all that traffic to continue to grow and to continue to prosper. And I'm just happy that I was able to serve you. And I thank you for that.
I appreciate your hard work, Mr. Dovalina. A little bit about Mr. Dovalina. I've been a city councilman going to 17 years. When I came into the city council, there was a reason that I wanted to be in the city council, because we would see the streets that were not paved, that were with caliche, and sometimes we don't even have a street signs. So I would say to myself, well, where's all the money coming in? Where's the money? Are they stealing it or what? So finally there was an individual who told me, he said, well, get into the city council and find out yourself and see what really is city government. Sometimes we as citizens of the towns, like for example, Cotulla, sometimes we think that there's a lot of revenue that comes in, but it's not a lot of revenue. There's four entities of taxes. You got the school tax, they get the majority of the taxes. You get the county, they get the second majority. Then you get the city, they get the less majority of the taxes. Then you have the water district. We don't have a hospital tax or another entity of taxes. And the taxes that we generate is a very small quantity that the city gets. And we have to make sufficient with a small percentage of the taxes, that we generate in order to maintain the parks, the streets, the sewer system, the infrastructure. And we're very blessed that we have accomplished and we've done a lot of good deeds with a partner with the county, where you see a lot of streets being done brand new, sidewalks, a lot of infrastructure, sewer system we've been doing. When I started in the city council, we had clay type of pipes, and we had galvanized pipes. And back then they couldn't afford to do the infrastructure. And now little by little, when Mr. Dovalina came in, we started getting funds from federal government that taxpayers don't have to pay back. So that's where we started. We have more money than ever we've had in the past 16, 17 years. Sometimes we have our up and downs as a city government, and that's what a city government is, and the city councilman. Sometimes we don't agree on certain things, but at the end of the day, we accomplished to do something what's best for the citizens of Cotulla. And sometimes, like I said, we don't agree with a lot of things, but at the end of the day, we make it work. And sometimes we get criticized by, the public and all that, but at the end of the day, it's a right that you have. You as citizens are the ones that vote us in and can vote us out. And that's why it's very important to hear out the community and the citizens of Cotulla, the concerns that we need to fix and all that. If you don't bring it to our attention, how can we fix things? And that's our job. We do it out of our heart. We don't get paid. And that's one good thing, that you have to have it in your heart in order to help people. But Mr. Dovalina has done a great job. We have a lot of hotel tax. You have to understand that the motel tax can only be used for activities. When you have the fair association or the carnivals and all that, that's where most of the money goes in. We can't use that type of money to do streets or infrastructure or fix cars or anything. We're very blessed that we have the best water wells. We have plenty of water in Cotulla, working wells. Cotulla has one of the lowest averages of gas, water, sewer. We have a benefit of every month, once a month, every 3 months, we have the Rama get together at the Plaza Florita or in downtown in front of the courthouse, where people can take, your tires or stuff that you don't need, and it won't cost you 1 penny. You go to another place, another city, and they charge you for it. So we're very blessed to do that. And there's things that we're trying to fix. We have good vehicles. We have a good line of heavy equipment, which back in the day we probably had one backhoe for the whole city of Cotulla, and it's an old backhoe. But we're very blessed. And again, that's how the city government works. But again, we have to be united. We have to be united and be patient with, sometimes we take a little time before we go in there and fix certain things, but it's all about money. And at the end of the day, we'll work it out and we'll fix it. But I understand that we have a lot of people concerns and all that, which is a good thing. We have to know what we need to fix. But I want to thank every colleague that we have here, every city councilman, and on the past city councilmen and the past mayors. If there's somebody better than, or have better ideas, you have all the right to run against, another city councilman or a mayor or whatever. But so far we've done great. Very, outstanding job. Like I said, look at where we're at right now. We're in a civic center that was donated back in the 70s, 80s, and we remodeled it. We have a new city hall. We have new water wells, a nice front street, and sometimes we need people's concerns so we can fix things, and that's what city government is about. But that's all I have.
Well, I also want to thank Mr. Dovalina for enduring all the travel and enduring our meetings, long meetings and talks and long discussions. It's not easy being a city administrator, but I do want to commend him and the councilman, the previous councilman, because believe it or not, with the decisions that you guys make on every item that gets placed on the agenda, and voting in favor of it, especially if it benefits the city of Cotulla, this is why we were placed here to do. And I guess because of the unity that we all have together, everything, all the discussions, I know that at times we might not agree on everything, but we've been doing everything that we possibly can to help our city. And we brought new ideas. We brought water development grants, which those grants are, by the way, are forgiveness grants. And we've saved our city millions of dollars by doing that. And and none of that could have been done without unity and knowledge and patience, because all of these things, when they come together, plays a very important part in our meetings. And I guess this is why a lot of the surrounding areas, they always want to see what is Cotulla doing. I mean, if you guys were here if you guys would have gone to the airport opening ceremony, I mean, you would have seen quite a few people from the surrounding cities as far as 80 miles out, wondering how we did things, wondering how we could have such a beautiful terminal. But we also do that because of us all together. It's not one man, it's a combination of the councilman, the mayor, and the city administrator. And Mr. Dovalina has played a big part in that. And for that, I want to thank him for all the years he gave us and gave our city. Some people say that he doesn't want to see me. Some people say he's not for Cotulla. He doesn't live here. He doesn't belong here. But I got to tell you that everything that was placed on this agenda and everything that we voted for together was for Cotulla. And that's what the man stands for, is for Cotulla. And he gave this city 16 years of his life. And I just want to say thank you, sir. So anybody want to say anything else?
I want to say something. It took a gentleman from outside to come into this community and fix the things that we need to get fixed. It takes a man with a lot of courage, a lot of criticism from the public. A lot of people talk bad about him, talk negative about him without judging the man. Only God can judge a man, and just God can judge a man. We have to understand that we all need to work together to get things done. We might not agree, as Mr. Ayala says, on certain issues, but at the end, we work together. And our main goal is to put Cotulla on the map, which is being done already. And we've got to continue putting it on the map. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Rowan.
Thank you. Councilman, if there's no further discussion on departmental and committee reports, we will move on to item number 6, approval of minutes, March 16, 2023.
I'll make a motion.
The first motion is made by Mr. Ayala. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sertuche. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 7, discussion and possible action on a resolution authorizing the submission of the Texas Community Development Program Downtown Revitalization Main Street Fund application and adopting required CDBG civil rights policies. Sir, you want to say something on that?
I understood that there was somebody from Grant Works that was going to make this presentation.
I guess here
Yes, sir,
she
that's
is.
me. I'm Natalie Gonzalez with GrantWorks. Mayor, Council, thank you so much for having me here. So GrantWorks was hired by the city of Cotulla to submit a downtown revitalization program grant through Texas Department of Agriculture under the Community Development Block Grant funding. The grant is due May 3rd. I have been working with Mr. Wright and his staff to develop this project in line with what the city has expressed to us they would like to see happen under this particular grant funding. The resolution, basically you're going to see several resolutions here this evening. Every single one of these resolutions is absolutely required by the grant to be passed. Otherwise it cannot be submitted. It will be disqualified upon submission, and Cotulla will receive no funding and won't be considered in the competition for the grant. So this particular resolution is authorizing submission of the grant to Texas Department of Agriculture and adopting CDBG civil rights policies. The civil rights policies are required for compliance with the grant once the grant is funded, if the grant is funded, and enters into project development phase. Once we get into implementation, there are multiple civil rights policies that are required when you enter into any agreement utilizing federal funds over any said infrastructure project, or in this case, a sidewalk project. So what the civil rights policies entail are multiple different things, one of which, just as an example, I'm assuming they were included in the packet, the full scale. Okay, so the civil rights policies would describe that labor standards have to be followed to ensure that members of the community have a voice when it comes to, if they have concerns over the project, once the project is being funded, they have a way and there's an avenue they can take to come and submit concerns to the city, and that the city will receive those well. Civil rights policies are also to cover any contractors or anybody who might want to submit in a bid opportunity to the opportunity to get the contract to actually implement the work. These are all absolutely required by the grant, and so that's what this particular resolution is stating, is a twofold. So it's saying the City of Cotulla's council authorizes the city to submit the application, but then it also says that the city is adopting the civil rights policies and will abide by those.
Since this isn't the first grant the city has applied for, they probably have already done this. Why would you repeat it over and over again?
It's possible, but sir, these policies are updated on a regular basis by TDA. It is not something that GrantWorks does. This is the first time, however, GrantWorks has ever worked with the City of Cotulla. So we would not know if you have that already adopted. But I will tell you, these particular civil rights policies are attached to the resolution. They are not to be separated. TDA has combined them for the first time ever on this round of all CDBG funds. Previously, the civil rights policies were not adopted until once you got into implementation phase, and it was done after the grant was funded. Now for this year, they don't want to see it that way. They want to know that you're going to comply with civil rights beforehand, and so they're attaching it to the resolution to apply, and it's just all combined as one.
So there's no way for you to tell by inquiring from TDA that in fact we've already done this?
There's no way for me to separate them because they've made it part of the grant requirement that it all be one motion to approve both items as one document.
It doesn't seem logical that you would need to repeat it over and over again every year.
You're absolutely right.
On this grant that we're trying to adopt, is there a money amount on this grant?
Yes, sir.
200 grand.
The minimum submission is 250. The city is pursuing the max of 500,000.
And to be used for?
The requirements of this grant are that a project be completed within the city's main street area, which we've already received what the boundaries are of that. In working with your city staff and city manager, we've identified a potential project scope area, which is going to be around the front street area. And it's going to be, it has to, because that's the way this grant is written, a little over 50% of the funds have to be spent in ADA accessibility activities. It is a requirement. And so majority of the activities that we are going to see are to widen sidewalks and to also build more ADA accessible parking spaces, ADA ramps, and ADA rails.
For the handicap.
Yes, sir. Yep. And lighting as well. Lighting will be a component as well. So we want to make sure that we go in with, remove the gas lighting, and we're going to be putting in electric lighting.
What is the city's match?
$75,000 as required by the grant.
Just for Main Street.
We need to do a motion for this?
Yes.
Is there a sketch that was handed to us, a drawing of the areas for the grant?
I received the drawing this week. So
But is
I
it,
have it.
but it's not in this package?
Maybe it's not, I'm not sure if I can put it in there.
I saw a drawing when I was going through it yesterday. I saw some, that all Main Street and with the handicap ramps and all that. Is that the one?
That sounds like the one.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'll make a motion.
Councilman, any further discussion on item number 7?
No, sir.
Not, first motion was made by Mr. Ayala, second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 8, discussion and possible action on a resolution designated authorized signatories for the Texas Community Development Program Downtown Revitalization Main Street Funds.
This is the same program, only this resolution is identifying who will be the signatories on behalf of the city. So who is authorized to sign and enter into a contract agreement, who's going to be able to sign on draw requests for payments once the funds are received, once the grant is funded. So typically we see, and the resolution stipulates and shows who the signatories will be. So as long as council and mayor are in agreement with the signatories as listed on the resolution, that's what we are doing with this one.
How many signatures do you need?
At least 2.
2.
They always recommend 3, simply because if somebody's sick.
Correct. I'll recommend 3 if possible.
The resolution will have a
resolutions
listing.
Says there the mayor, city manager, and then the one below says the mayor pro tem, city manager, city secretary, council member are also authorized.
All right.
So you
Yes.
have your 3 there.
So it's all the above, just in case.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Any questions on item number 8,
No, sir.
Councilman? I seek a first motion to approve item number 8.
I'll make a motion.
First motion made by Mr. Zatuche, second by Mr. Ayala. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 9, the discussion with possible action on a resolution determining the cities of Cotulla downtown district containing conditions detrimental in public health, safety, and welfare of community and constitutes a blighted area. Blighted area.
Yes, so I know this is not one of the fan favorites of this grant. One of the tiebacks to the federal funds that is used for this grant is anytime we have federal funding, anytime it is used by HUD dollars are used in a grant competition, they must always, the funding, the way you spend the funding, has to always meet the national objective. One of the national objectives set by the federal government over these funds is to end slum and blight. Okay, that's the tieback. So what happens with this particular grant is it still has to meet that national objective requirement. The only way that that can be done is to issue a resolution that designates the project scope area as either a slum area or a blighted area. Typically in downtown areas, blighted is the better use because it is not a slum area, but it could be blighted in that it needs to be modified by ADA compliance, widening of the sidewalks. The whole goal, they're big on economic development and economic impact. So the whole goal of this grant is to show that by creating more accessibility for pedestrian traffic in the downtown area, it gives more access to local businesses, therefore increasing the economic impact on the city of Cotulla. So, but we still have to pass this resolution. The area still has to be designated as such, or it will be disqualified.
I strenuously object to calling the Main Street area blighted area, and I think that it marks you for something that is really not intended. And if you have council and the mayor pass it, you're basically lying because it's not blighted.
It is not a lie. It is required of the grant. I understand how you feel. I really do. And it's not something that GrantWorks is saying you have to do because we want you to do it. It's in the application guide.
The problem is that once you declare it, you can't take it back. So once you say it's blighted forever.
That's not necessarily true.
Yes,
You
it
can
is.
always rescind the resolution.
Well, it's just double speak. But anyway,
It's up to the city. Again,
it's
these are
up
the.
to you all if you want
It's up to the
to
city.
approve it or not, but I think you're making a mistake by calling the area blighted. And I don't think that you can take it back once you do it. This is not a blighted area. There's thriving businesses up and down there. Yes, there are some buildings there that are probably not being used to their maximum, but I would dare say it's not blighted. And I understand what the HUD requirements are, and I understand what you're trying to do, but it's a choice that you make. If you want to proceed with the grant, you need to do, I guess, what she's suggesting, and if you think, as I do, that it's a tough issue to decide, you really need to think about it.
If I may, two things. I do just want to make it clear, if this resolution is not passed tonight, there won't be another opportunity to do it before the deadline passes, and TDA does not offer extensions, which means the city would not be able to submit, GrantWorks would not be able to submit the grant on behalf of the city. The other thing, I was under the impression that this grant has been submitted for in the past by the city. Is that correct? Have downtown revitalization program ever been applied for in the past?
No.
No, this is the first time? Okay, then I'm mistaken.
I have a question on the resolution where it states the council has found conditions which are detrimental to the public's health, safety,
Yes.
welfare of the community. Who did this survey? Is that you guys that did this survey? Or?
It's not a survey, it's just a resolution
'Cause
that.
I also see that it's saying we're
Right.
lacking, of course, handicap spaces, accessibility, which is there in place now.
Right.
Also stating the ramps and rails are also in place, insufficient lighting. I mean, that's up for discussion, I guess. It might be there. Yep. We do have lighting there, so I'm kind of on the side of Mr. Dovalino, where it's, we're pretty much saying that the downtown area doesn't have this stuff already in place when it does.
If those are the things that the city seeks to get as a result of the grant, it would have to be worded this way.
Do you know the
But-
definition of blight?
I'm sorry?
Do you know the definition of blight?
I understand your position. I'm not going to argue with you. My position is that I work for you. And it is your choice and your decision if you would like to engage this application. We would be very happy to submit it for you.
I want to hear the meaning of blight.
I can look up I can Google the meaning of blight because I'm not, can't tell you offhand.
Make me understand it more.
Sure. Let me do my best. To have a severely detrimental effect on something.
So it's saying on
So-
the community, right, or the city.
A
Right?
detrimental effect on pedestrian traffic is what it would be, because that's the purpose of this grant.
So what you're
Which is-
saying is the necessity for the safety of the public.
Yes, which is why it's stated as public health and safety and welfare. Because if you have a sidewalk that's not wide enough for a person who is in a wheelchair, that wheelchair is not accessible for that individual, and that is a safety hazard. It's a health hazard for that individual, who could be a member of your community, or who could also be somebody who's a tourist seeking to spend their time in your local stores or restaurants within that area.
And when did you state the deadline was for this?
May 3rd.
Yeah, we won't have another meeting before that time.
Has to be decided today.
I mean, I'm just gonna give my opinion. I think we have a lot of good projects going on there and have a lot of infrastructure there already. But like you said, if you consider it blighted, well, then you're saying that it's not safe for people with disabilities to be around in that area, I guess, or it's not wide enough for wheelchairs. You're saying it's a risk for people to be down there.
Councilman, any other questions?
And once you vote, then you can't go back again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even the deadline's on the 3rd, so even if we were to table it, we wouldn't make the deadline.
I would like to say too, there's another opportunity next year. Granted, something that we do that for our clients is we pre-score what your odds would be of funding on every round, and we do that for all our clients. I don't know, based on upcoming scoring criteria, what the likelihood of Cotulla's application would be. If it is consistent with what we have seen for this round, then you stand a strong likelihood of getting funded if you submit an application. However, it is a risk you would be taking in opting to wait until next round, giving you more time to investigate the grant and understand it better so that perhaps you may feel more comfortable with it. But again, by choosing to do that, you would not be submitting a grant this round. We'd be waiting till next year. And we don't know what the scoring criteria is going to look like next year. That has yet to be determined or rolled out. So I don't know what your chances would be next year, if they would be the same as this year.
So what you're saying is the guidelines might change from this year to the next year?
Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying. And if the guidelines change, now the guidelines won't change so significantly that these requirements will change, but the way they score the grants could change, and typically does to some degree. And I just don't, I wouldn't be able to give you a guarantee.
And also the amount of funding, right?
That's correct. The amount of funding could change too.
So in the last 5 years, how many guidelines have changed?
I couldn't tell you that without lying to you
Any?
offhand. Yes.
Any?
Yes, they have. They have. They have. For example, just the resolution that was just passed changed. That was the first one on here. And every round that goes through, something always changes. It's just the nature of the way the grants are done, and the agencies are responsible for changing those rules. In this case, Texas Department of Agriculture. They determine that.
Any other questions, Councilman? If not, I seek a first motion to approve item number 9. Anyone? No motion was made for item number 9. Item dies.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Mayor and council.
Yes, sir.
Would y'all like to reconsider item number 7, authorization to submit?
Say that again. You were breaking up.
Item number 7, office submission of grant. I'll hear me. Am I still cutting out?
You're cutting out.
Consider on want to go out and.
Which one?
Number 7. Talking about.
See, reconsider item number 7.
I thought I heard number 7.
To reconsider to deny item.
Councilman, will you consider denying item number 7? If you do, I seek a first motion to deny item number 7.
I'll make a move.
First motion by Mr. Ayala, I seek a second. Second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Item number 7 is denied. Do we have to do the same thing, Counselor, for item number 8?
No, just an item number 7.
Okay. Moving on to item number 10, discussion. Thank you. Moving on to item number 10, discussion and possible action on a resolution accepting the Cotulla, LaSalle County Airport elevated storage tank and stating that the work was completed in accordance with the plans and specifications. David, you want to say anything on that?
I'm sorry, Mayor, I was in the hallway, I didn't hear.
On the storage tank, the completion of the storage tank?
The acceptance.
The acceptance?
Of the elevated storage tank, McGuire Iron?
Yes, item number 10.
Yeah, so maybe.
Stand up
say
and.
It's been at least 6 months now.
Stand up and get to the
Yes.
podium.
It's been about 6 months now that it has been completed. McGuire Iron is, they're looking for their final payment, approval for final payment. So they're just asking the council to go ahead and accept the tower, and that's pretty much what it is.
And a walk around and inspection has been done already?
Yes, it has. And everything's in working order, and it was done, inspected the way it should be.
Excellent.
So the inspection has been done on the electrical wiring, everything there?
Yes, everything has been inspected. The city hired an independent inspector to actually come and inspect the whole tank itself.
Okay.
Councilman, any further questions on item number 10?
What is the amount of the draw?
The amount of the draw,
There's a capital outlay that's pending at the Texas Water Development Board for $74,000 as a final payment. That won't be released until the council accepts a water tank.
The completion.
The completion of the water tank.
Councilman, if there's no further questions, I seek a first motion to approve item number 10. First motion by Mr. Sertuche, second by Mr. Lopez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 11, discussion and possible action on an ordinance of the City of Cotulla establishing a solid waste franchise policy allowing the grant of use of municipal roads and alleys for solid waste franchises, authorizing the city administrator to establish rules and regulations for implementation, requiring franchisees to meet uniform minimum conditions, authorizing the code compliance official to inspect and assure enforcement, including the assurance of stop work order and citations for non-compliance, declaring a public purpose, providing for a penalty, providing for a repeller, providing for severability, incorporating recitals, and setting an effective date.
This is a takeoff on a individual company that we caught hauling trash and using the different sites in the city that is not authorized to operate, and they proposed a franchise in order to continue, allowing it to pay 5%, I think, of their areas. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, but we can either do that or go to a permitting system to where you can develop a permit fee schedule. Dumpsters, national chains generally try to set up their own systems, and you have to give them the authority to operate in order for them to be able to operate, because the streets and alleys of the city are yours. They're entrusted for your use, so by doing this, you authorize for there to be a proposal brought back to you for whatever that fee is, and the permit fee or the franchise fee to be authorized by you. And you would put them on record that you're in the process of doing this, because you've already indicated to them that they can't continue to operate. they're currently operating in the city. So by doing this, you probably also need to get an additional compliance officer to kind of help out, because you're starting to develop areas where the compliance officer is being inundated by the number of things that are there, and maybe you need to kind of give them a little bit of help, but it depends on what you do with the issue. If you decide that you want to study it further, you can table it and have it develop further and look at it a different way, and we can present it, well, somebody present it to you at a different date.
Councilman, do you need more time? Would you like to explore our options and have somebody present this issue as to what are our options for, and policies for this ordinance?
Yeah, I would like to table it.
Number 11.
So I seek a first motion to table number 11 first by Mr. Rodriguez. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ayala. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 12, discussion.
Is 12 part of her grant?
Yeah, 12 part of her
We
grant.
table that too. You need to move the table.
I need a first motion to table item number 12.
Motion.
First motion by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Mr. Lopez. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 13, discussion on possible action on a letter of concern submitted by Ms. Sandra Sertuche. Ms. Sandra?
I would like to be removed from the table related to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Abstain? Thank you for coming in, Ms. Sertuche.
You're welcome. Good evening, Mayor, City Manager, Council members, and the citizens of Cotulla. My name is Sandra Sartuche. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I am here with a few citizen concerns. This is not criticism. This is the truth. Number one, I am looking for fairness. Number two, I'm looking for accountability. Number three, bring more revenue. Number four, transparency. All I am asking is for fairness on everybody that has businesses to have dumpsters, as they are required by businesses like my RV park. So I feel that the code enforcer should go out and inspect all businesses and hold up, mandate that they require dumpsters. City Manager, Mr. Dovalina. I've had several meetings with Mr. Dovalina, with Assistant City Manager David Wright, and Code Enforcer Joey Garcia about the issues with the RVs, dumpsters, and contractors' electrical permits. What is the status on these issues? I know we were going to have a meeting on this. Was the meeting held and resolved? Back on August 25th, 2020, I paid a permit on my daughter's portable building. I was informed by the City of Cotulla clerk that I needed a certified plumber and a certified electrician. They would not be able to open my services without an approved certified plumber and electrician. The City of Cotulla clerk also informed me that the contractors that were on the city's approval list were the only ones that were able to perform the work on my daughter's building. So I went ahead and hired a certified electrician, Thunderhawk from Cotulla, to perform the work. The job cost me $3,000. For the electrical work on my daughter's building, and that was permit 896-20. And not only that, but I had to get 3. And here are all my permits. And this is the list that they gave me for the plumbers and the list for the contractors, electrical contractors. The city of Cotulla has 23 electrical contractors. 6 from Laredo, 1 from Dilley, 1 from Cotulla, 2 from San Antonio, 1 from Floresville, 1 from Uvalde, 1 from Fort Worth, 1 from Poteet, 1 from Crystal City, 1 from Robstown, 1 from Temple, 1 from Kyle, 1 from Natalia, and 1 from Linder, or something like that. On 9/23/21, the city of Cotulla trash truck knocked down an electrical post in my RV park on Benya Road. The reason we knew who it was is because we have surveillance cameras. We brought it up to the department head, Robbie Thomas, and he got together with the city manager, Mr. Dovalina, informed him of the situation. The city manager, Mr. Dovalina, approved to get this fixed by someone that does not have a permit with the city of Cotulla, but has done a lot of work for them and still continues to do work for the city of Cotulla. My question is, why do I have to hire a contractor that has an electrical permit with the city of Cotulla, but the city of Cotulla can hire whoever they want that does not have an electrical permit with them or any certifications? The RV park and restaurants are commercial sites and should have commercial dumpsters. Is the mayor, the city manager, the assistant city manager, and the council members exempt from this ordinance? Apparently, the mayor does not have commercial dumpster, does not have a grease trap, or a backflow preventer. Not to mention, he lives at his restaurant. To the code enforcer, Officer Joey Garcia, once again, all I ask is if you're going to do it for one person, then do it for everyone. Don't just pick and choose or follow the concept. If I scratch your back, you scratch mine. I believe there should be more communication with the public until the problem is resolved. One thing I ask is, please follow up until something gets done. Don't just let it go or forget about it. Is it because you don't want to look bad? And at the end of the day, it is your job. These are my concerns. And Joey's not here to answer, so can I get an answer
First
from
of all, Robbie did not call me, and I wouldn't have approved an unlicensed contractor to go fix your electrical problem.
Okay, well, when I didn't know that person that y'all sent to go fix it was not on this list and was not certified, but when I spoke to Robbie, he told me that he needed to get it approved by you.
Yeah, but
because it was a big amount of money that they needed to fix and that you were the only one that could approve it.
I'm sorry, but
And I mean, I wish he was here so he could tell me in front of you, but obviously they're gone.
You can call him and ask him. He never called me.
And so my question is like, why would I have to pay $3,000? I mean, I could have hired somebody to do it cheaper, and then just get the lady from Laredo to come and inspect it. I could have saved some money. Another thing, there's a lot of businesses out there that don't have a dumpster, but I was required by the city clerk to have a dumpster.
I don't think anybody
That's $200 I can put on my table.
Sure. I don't think that anybody is exempt from following the ordinance.
Okay.
To whatever the ordinance says.
Mm-hmm.
I think you brought up some legitimate issues, and we're currently restructuring the solid waste ordinance. And when it comes to the table, if you're here in attendance, you can address that issue then. If it's not already addressed, the issue with the RVs, the lady was not in town today, but somebody called her and indicated to her that she was gonna be cited so that she has an appointment with a judge.
Because, I mean, this is not, I mean, I had to come to the meeting because I have been bringing it to your attention, and, okay, Joey would just tell me, I'm gonna talk to her, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and it's gonna, you know, and they were giving me the runaround, so, like, no, I want answers. Because when I wanted to put a double, just a few months back, I wanted to put a double wide next to my acre. Joey went, he was like, you can't put another house there because it's sitting on a lot. It's not a lot, it's an acre. And yes, I can, because if I couldn't, then why did they open water services and sewer services if I wasn't able to put a mobile home? It's a different address. It's an acre. But yet and still, he's letting everybody else put RVs here, and what is the difference between me and them? That's what I want to know. Why do I have to pay for a dumpster when the rest of the people don't? Like, I just want fairness. Like, if they're not going to pay for it, then take me off of the $200 that I got to pay a month on my dumpster. Or give me back since the day that the clerk told me that I had to have a dumpster by law. Am I going to get that back pay? No. I mean, I just want fairness. That's all I'm asking.
The points are legitimate and they're being addressed.
Okay.
And we'll find out later on whenever that appointment is with the municipal court judge.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 13 was just for discussion. Moving on to item number 14, discussion and possible action on a request submitted by the class of 2027 parents group requesting permission to block off Buckley Street with the rental of the Plaza Florita to allow for vendors for the 8th grade graduation ceremony. Well, this is something that usually the graduates from 8th grade move on to 9th grade. It's a tradition that every year they host their ceremony there at the Plaza Florita. So I seek a first motion to waive the first motion by Mr. Ayala, second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 15, discussion and possible action to accept settlement of qualifications and recommended Seagull PME for the TWDB, which is Texas Water Development Board, Social Economic Survey.
So, the city put out a request RFQ because when the prior census, when it came out, they also measured income for the city and how much individual residents make, and we determine off that amount for grants, and the amount actually came out to be higher than what we would be eligible for grants. I think it came out to 56%. So what the city is attempting to do is we want to do a new study, independent study of the housing in Cotulla.
Salary. It's a salaries.
Yeah, the salaries in Cotulla, to see if the actual census is correct and accurate. And if it's not correct and it is lower like it has historically been, it would make us eligible for more grants.
What we basically believe is that the census information that was done was poorly done, and they had an income average of $17,000 per family, which we think is inaccurate. So what it did, it took Cotulla out of a community that could participate in forgiveness of loans by Texas Water Development Board and took us out of the range of what they considered to be impoverished a county where we were before. And what they did was they took transition workers that were in here with the oil companies that gave it a higher elevated figure. And so that's how they got a higher average than what people that live here actually make. And so what we want to do is go back in and redo the study so that we can get the actual figures of what people make that live in this community, not people that come in and stay in hotels, that live somewhere else or work in the oil and gas industries, which we believe are kind of meshed together. And that's how the census came up with their figure. We want to do an independent study to see if those figures are actually accurate.
Yeah,
And so all we're doing is asking you to accept the qualifications of this particular company. We did an RFQ. There was only one company that submitted, and we're gonna turn around, ask them for a proposal, and then bring it back to council for your approval, or somebody's gonna bring it back for your approval.
Yeah, the census did their assessment during COVID, so not too many people wanted to come out.
Well, I wanna say they did their usual work.
By hiring this company, what is the cost to do this?
We're gonna bring that proposal back.
Okay.
So you,
So you need a motion for.
so we need a motion to take action.
Just to accept the
To accept.
qualifications.
First motion is made by Mr. Satucci, second, I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ayala, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 16, discussion and possible action to solicit requests for proposals for bank depository services.
This is Jorge.
Jorge,
The new Jorge.
the new Jorge.
I think the depository contract for, is it, we use Broadway
Broadway.
Bank? Yeah, is up, and so I think the next step on this is to be, so that Bianca puts it in the newspaper, open to the public or to the other banks, so that they can, put a bid out, and then at that point we can come together and, figure out which depository bank we would want to choose and proceed business with. But I'm not too sure on where the contract due date is up. I think it's up, and Jorge just told me that he's not too sure how Broadway Bank feels about continuing business, post contract, but they haven't said anything, and I think Bianca has the actual contract, so we can find the actual end date on that.
Unless the contract with Broadway continues for some other reason that it has an automatic renewal.
I mean, possibly, but
You have to go out on bids at least every 3 years for a bank depository contract.
yeah, and I don't know. They were saying something about 5 years, but I don't know. And I think Bianca would probably have the answer to that because she was the one that.
You need to look at the contract.
Yes, sir.
I have a question, maybe Mr. Dovalina will answer that. When it gets approved, on what bank will be doing business?
You approve it.
Whatever bank comes to our table.
Yes.
Who will be authorizing to sign checks that you know of?
Everybody.
Just us?
Yeah.
But not the city employees or in the office or anything like that?
Just the city administrator.
Okay.
Councilman, if there's no further discussion on item number 16, I seek a first motion.
Aye.
First motion by Mr. Satucci, second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 17, discussion and possible action to amendment number 002 submitted by Frank Architects Incorporated, increasing contract amount from $42,430 to 70,905 for the Plaza Florita restroom facilities.
This is an added cost to the plaza. It's related to construction administration for the proposal that we're going out on bid in, and it replaces the bathrooms that are in Florita Plaza to the adjoining lot, creating a parking lot, and of course it creates a pedestal for the Maltzberger statue that Jerry complained about, but it's next door to the plaza itself. And it also includes an added fee for the mechanical contractor who has increased the price of his engineering fee.
Councilman, any questions on item number 17?
So that statue's gonna be put on the, not on the Plaza Florita?
No.
It's gonna be put on the other part of the lot?
It's overlooking the plaza,
It's on the Pina property, on the very corner?
on the one that was purchased by the city some time ago. So what it'll do is it'll give you new bathrooms, it'll give you additional parking, and it'll give you the opportunity to destroy and demolish
The restrooms.
the old bathrooms that are there that could see a better day.
Oh, they're gonna put lighting on that area?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
is a question on the restrooms, are they gonna be locked at certain hours, or are they gonna be open?
Well, we're gonna try to put fixtures that are not necessarily destroyable, much like you do probably in some of your facilities, that people normally don't do things to them.
No,
Stainless
or whatever.
Stainless.
Stainless.
Yeah,
Kind of like they did at the sports complex, right?
yeah,
So we need a motion, right?
yes.
If there's no further discussion on item number 17, I seek a first motion to approve item number 17. First motion is made by Mr. Ayala. I need a second. Second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 18, discussion and possible action on a change order number 4. Final deducting $1,000 for changing materials for construction for the Cotulla LaSalle County Airport Elevated Storage Tank Project.
This is the final change order for the new tower over by the street yard, and it's $1,000 in our favor.
Amen to that. I seek, if there's no further discussion on item number 18, I seek a first motion to approve item number 18.
Motion.
First motion by Mr. Ayala, second by Mr. Sertuche. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 19, discussion in possible action to approve a payment to Sal Construction in the amount of $59,500 for Cotulla Road paving, Matamoros Street.
This item has to do with actually the paving project in the Colonia. The city changed out a few lines over there on our dime. The county agreed to change out an AC line that was there, and it was a bigger size. It was a 6-inch AC. We upgraded it to an 8-inch PVC pipe. That runs down Matamoros, probably a quarter away down Matamoros, and traverses the total distance of Monterey Street and connects at the 5-way stop. Of this project, the county paid $234,000, and they asked if we would cover $59,500 of this project. So that's why you have this before you.
What's the status of Matamoros Street so far?
They were actually paving today, Matamoros, Monterey. At the end of the day, when I headed to the meeting, they were paving the 5-way, the whole area of the 5-way. So it looks like they're about done.
On the five-way, is it gonna be more thicker of a material due to the high volume of traffic? It's gonna be the same?
Same.
Okay.
What's the
The-
thickness,
the-
4 inch?
Yeah, the depth was the same as the rest of the roads, and it didn't look like it was more than 3 inches.
Councilman, if there's no further discussion on item number 19, I seek a first motion to approve item number 19.
Aye.
First motion by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Mr. Sertuche. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 20, discussion and possible action on request submitted by TDCJ asking for a monetary donation not to exceed 1,000 for their annual National Corrections Officers Week luncheon.
We received a letter of request from TDCJ, and the city has annually participated with a monetary donation sponsoring the luncheon.
Mr. De Molina, would that be a conflict of interest for Officer Mr. Ayala and Mr. Garcia?
I don't work for
No.
them.
No, he don't work for them.
No, he needs to abstain.
I abstain.
If there's no further discussion on item number 20, I seek a first motion to approve item number 20.
So moved.
First motion by Mr. Lopez, second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor say aye.
Is it for the 1,000 or are y'all setting an amount?
Yeah.
Not to exceed 1,000, so 1,000 is fine. First motion was made by Mr. Rodriguez. Oh, by Mr. Lopez, second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 21. Discussion and possible action. I'm sorry. Closed session. Text Gov, Quota N, Section 551.071, 1 and 2, consultation with attorney, Texas Government Code N, Section 551.074, personal matters. A, Briscoe Architects Bond. B, LRD consultation agreement, Larry Dovalina. C, City Administrator's contract, David Wright. This goes in closed session. It is now
You want to close the door?
9:12. On your cue. All right, we were in closed session. It is now 9:53. We're back into open session. No action was taken during closed session on, but now that we're out in open session, item A, I seek a first motion to approve to instruct staff to find.
Let somebody make the motion.
I make a motion to direct the city administrator to replace the contractors to finish the project.
First motion on letter A on, is, Mr. Ayala. I seek a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Zet. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item B, consulting agreement. I need a first motion. Who would like to make the first motion?
I make a motion.
First motion is made by Mr. Ayala. I seek a second motion. Second by Mr. Garcia. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Letter C, City Administrator Contract. Who would like to make the first motion?
I motion it.
First motion is made by Mr. Rodriguez. And second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Lopez. And this would be also to, on the first 6 months, for 3 months to be a severance pay change in the contract. So, so everybody say nay? All opposed say, what's that? All opposed say, I'm sorry. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Would anybody like to say anything at this time before we adjourn?
Can I get a clarification on that? Is that a city administrator's contract or is that assistant city administrator's contract?
That's a city administrator's contract, ma'am.
Okay, because the city administrator can only be appointed by the city council, and he's not officially a city administrator. Just, I say.
Thank you. Councilman, any questions?
Doesn't make any sense.
This meeting is adjourned. It is now 9:56.
Could I get clarification on your motion on the LRD consulting?
Thank you.
Clarification on what is your question, Mr. Roberts?
Item B.
Yes.
LRD consulting, just made a motion, but it didn't say what the motion was.
The motion was to accept the contract as is. To accept the contract for consulting, the consulting agreement. That's what it was. It was for. The contract is as is. It's in our packet.